And then jump up real quick. You know, do the pranams very fast so you can look back at Prabhupada. And I remember when I was paying my obeisance, Srila Prabhupada was standing right there. And nobody could have seen, I could have so easily touched those lotus feet. But we were loyal, you know, we followed instructions very good. I lament that I followed that instruction, you know. So anyway, so we got up, and Prabhupada, Sri Govinda Das was the temple president of Chicago, and he had tilak going all the way back on his head like this. And Prabhupada, I heard Prabhupada say to him, he said, as he was giving him the garland, putting it over his head, he said, Prabhupada said, tilak stops here, you know. So that was the first thing I'd heard from Prabhupada's voice, was an instruction. And then as we were leaving the airport, you know, the devotees were just wild, you know. I mean, literally, probably nobody was really touching the ground very much. I mean, we were elevated. We were just in such ecstasy. And Prabhupada was heading to a door that was an entrance door into the airport. In other words, when he came to the door, it wouldn't open, because it was for men to come in, not to go out. So I noticed that. So I ran to the front and I forced this door open, you know. And just as I did, Prabhupada walked by and he goes, "Thank you very much," you know. And I, whoa! And then off, back up to the ceiling I went. And the bliss was so overwhelming. I can only remember it as probably the greatest. It was the greatest feeling of elation, you know, that a person could feel. The body couldn't take much more than that. The bliss was so incredible. So then they took a long way to get back to the temple. And so we came, and we, you know, we got to the temple before Prabhupada got there, and so we were all ready for him. Well, we'd been up all night distributing books, all day, the day before. Then we got in the van and we drove all the way to Chicago in the night. Then we got there at Mangalartik time, so we went through the whole day. So none of us had any rest. And one of our godbrothers, his name was Bhakta Randy at the time, later to become Radha Damodar Das. And he was so tired. We were all tired, but the ecstasy kept us awake. But he was, so there was one devotee named Jayatirtha who was giving instructions as to how to conduct yourself, you know, sit down and, you know, don't ask questions. Prabhupada is just arriving, we just listen, and then he'll go to his room, and later we can talk to him like this. So Bhakta Randy, he was sitting next to the Vyasasan, the big, you know, 3 stairs about 4 feet high, and then Prabhupada's Vyasasan was on top with these flower vases, you know, filled with flowers and water and everything. Beautiful setup. So Bhakta Randy was standing on the side of it, and he's sitting there, and he just starts to fall asleep. And he just falls asleep and just goes right into the Vyasasan. By the time he woke up, he was too far to catch himself. So the Vyasasan went flying off to the other side, all the flowers and water everywhere, and Prabhupada's just about to walk in any second, you know. So everybody grabbed their dhoti and wiped up all the water, threw the flowers in, put the Vyasasan up, put it back, and then Prabhupada walks in. Just in that second, you know. And then, of course, he came in, and the deities of Chicago is Kishore Kishori. The only deities where Krishna's name is second. I mean, first, rather. Kishore, Kishori. And that was where I got initiated in front of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada always kept himself in this look, like a general who's never lost a battle. You know, same here at the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple. I was very fortunate to be here for that. And when Prabhupada did that artik in front of everybody, and he'd turn and look at the crowd, he had this look like, what else do you expect? You know, another victory. And it was the greatest victory. He established the Krishna Balaram Mandir. And, but Prabhupada always had this aura about him, that he was giant. He was always so big, you know. And I distributed his books. That was my service. And although I was a painter in school, I was major in school was art, painting portraits in particular. And but the temple authorities would never let me go to Los Angeles to paint because I was always distributing the books. So I never got to do my heartfelt service for Srila Prabhupada. But Prabhupada always was, you know, one thing is that he always cared, because he always made the effort for us to remember Krishna. Prabhupada was such a compassionate person. in the sense that, now, for example, coming from America, you know, we're all products of unwanted, you know, we're unwanted children. You know, mothers and fathers are usually drunks or something, you know, and they get illicit sex and they have a baby and they don't want the baby because it ruins their enjoyment. So we're all born unwanted, basically, in America anyway, most Western countries. So there was the Vietnam War going on, you know, everyone's fighting each other, the blacks against the whites in America, big racial wars, everyone's fighting everyone. You know, we're all trying to establish this love and peace, you know, through the flower children, you know, that came about in counterculture. And Prabhupada came with the perfection of the peace and love movement. It's all for Krishna. You know, you offer flowers, you offer incense. Krishna's in the heart of every living entity, no eating meat, no killing. So the perfection of what we were looking for was what Prabhupada brought us, you know. And for us it was absolutely treasure beyond treasure. I mean, you can't imagine the treasure. And the feeling of love. Prabhupada didn't want anything from us, except that he wanted us to love Krishna. And he always emphasized that, to always remember Krishna, never forget. Now our movement has kind of lost track with that. We're not remembering Krishna so much. We're kind of doing the rounds, we're following the principles, we're doing what we're supposed to do externally, but we're not remembering Krishna. And this is why devotees are, you know, that the movement is having a little problem in its time now, in this particular time of life. But in the early days, when Prabhupada was there, we had 5 classes a day. We had Bhagavatam, we had Nectar Devotion, we had Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, we had Bhagavad Gita in the night, and then we had Krishna book in the evening. So we were always talking about Krishna. When I first came through the door, I saw these 2 girls. I said, who are these 2 beautiful girls? He said, no, that's Krishna, and that's Radharani. And these other girls, these are all Krishna's girlfriends. And I thought, wow, really? Krishna dances in the night, he has love affairs with girls? Wow, this is your God? This is pretty cool. Because it showed that everybody in the material world is, and our action in our world is all a reflection of that spiritual world. Everybody wants to enjoy. Everybody loves sex life. Everybody loves the loving affairs, emotions, sentiment, heart. And here was a little boy, 15 years, 9 months, 7.5 days old, eternally, Kishore. And Radharani was 14 years, 2 months, 15 days old, Kishore. And that they live like this eternally as youthful, young boyfriend and girlfriend. And that everyone loves Krishna in that mood of pleasing him. And that by his pleasure, by pleasing Krishna, everyone else is pleased. In the spiritual world, when Krishna takes a bite of something, all the cowherd boys who are sitting out with the cows in the middle of the day, the Boga Artik we celebrate in the noontime, when Krishna takes that bite, every cowherd boy tastes that same bite. When Krishna bites, and we go on, jalebi, you know, or whatever. And so everything Krishna smells, we smell it. You know, everything that Krishna feels against his skin.